What's up, YouTube? We're a couple of cunts. We're in the countryside. We're talking about space! We spend a lot of time on this show talking about dicks and bacon and other such unimportant matters. Occasionally, we'll touch on a subject that you actually have to think about. Politics, religion, love, Batman. But don't think there's a concept that is more intriguing and more terrifying to really think about than space. There's a hell of a lot of it out there, and we don't know the first thing about it when you get down to it.
Well, actually, funny you mention that. We know more about what goes on in outer space than we do what goes on underneath the ocean on this planet.
Yeah, but we're not going to get talking about the shit that you find at the bottom of the ocean, because
Cthulhu?
that's a whole other level of nightmare fuel. I mean, yeah, aliens from outer space, the cold void and everything is one thing, but when you get right down there and some of that freaky shit.
Yeah, but there are some freaky ass fucking fish, let's be honest with you.
It is a scary thing, the idea of going into space. I mean, like, a lot of people, myself included, are quite uncomfortable going on a plane, because that makes you feel really vulnerable. You know, that basically a sheet of metal between you and a massive drop. So when you extrapolate that into space, and then, you know, with films like Gravity and things like that, it's just fucking terrifying idea. But, you know, talk about a fate worse than death. I can't really think of anything more scary.
I agree.
Than being stranded out in space.
If I lived in America, I think the one company I would try harder than anybody else to work for, even if I wasn't an astronaut, but one company I would really work for is NASA. I would love to be behind that.
Well, yeah,
I get so into it.
You don't even have to be an astronaut these days, because I don't know how far along he is with it, but Richard Branson's got his whole jet off into space on a bit of a jaunt thing.
Virgin Galactic.
That's it. Yeah, Virgin Galactic, and it only costs you like $6 billion for a 30-minute trip into space. So what a bargain!
You are going to need. That isn't a long trip. You're not going to need to be acclimatized to it. But if you're going for anything longer than that, you're going to need to have certain training. You're going to.
Well, obviously, yeah.
You're going to have to prove that you're not someone who's going to go insane. They do a lot of psychological testing before they go up there, stuff like that. But you know, if I ever made a lot of money, you know, or comes down in price or feasible, or whatever, I'd be well up for doing that.
I don't know that I would, because for starters, again, space terrifying, and also I kind of get freaked out when a plane's taking off, so the blast up into space would fuck me. It's one of those things where I do like to spend a lot of time thinking about it. You know, you look up at the stars, so beautiful and so far away, so magical, and then, you know...
Then you think they're massive nuclear infernos that, you know, if one of them is too close to us and explodes, everything dies.
Yeah, there is that. There's a lot of shit in space that could, you know, be catastrophic at the wrong moment.
You know, a comet hitting us, it might not even be a massive comet, it might have some sort of alien virus in it, the sun could blow up unexpectedly, all this different stuff that could happen billions and billions of miles away that would affect us, and it just makes you think, wow, the fact we're still alive is kind of just this astronomical game of chance that we're winning for now, but for how much longer?
Well, it's, you know, because we've got a pretty limited view considering we've got our planet, and, you know, on the one hand, that seems vast enough, because sometimes it's an effort for me to walk from the bedroom to the living room, so to consider the, you know, whole scope of Earth is one thing, and then you think how small Earth is compared to everything else. I mean, that's where shit gets really scary.
Oh, yeah.
If you think of the size of Earth in comparison to, say, Jupiter or Saturn or something like that, they're so much vaster than us, and then, as you say, if you take the planets as a whole, shrink them down to the galaxy and shrink that down to the solar system and just keep on shrinking it down. There's an absolutely fantastic video, it's from the 70s I think, called Powers of 10, which basically it starts...
They did have a lot of good science shows and stuff in the 70s.
Absolutely. It starts, I think it's like with a couple in a park, and then it zooms out to the power of 10 and it's like the whole park, then it's the city block, the city, the country, and it just keeps on zooming out until like it goes basically to the limits of our understanding, where everything that we've seen, well, that we've seen up until that point, was like a tiny microscopic dot, and then it takes it the other way and zooms right in down to the subatomic level. And to contemplate either of those things, either something so incredibly vast like, you know, space, however long it may go on for, or something as incredibly tiny as, like, you know, planks and quantum foam and all that tiny shit that you can't even see with a microscope. What the fuck? We're so insignificant.
Space as well is one of those areas, I think, in actual fact, that it's a very fertile ground for fiction. There's so many fantasies based around, or not even necessarily completely based around, but will use aspects of space travel, foreign planets, alien races, so on and so forth. But it's one of those few areas that I think actually the fact is almost as interesting as the fiction you can come up with sometimes. There's, they're always discovering new planets, new celestial bodies, so on and so forth, that have completely batshit properties. There's like one of the moons on Saturn or Jupiter, I think, has ice volcanoes or something really weird like that. There's all these really strange
fucking planets where it rains mercury and
stuff like
isn't
that.
there one planet they discovered in a totally Doctor Who sort of mindfuck that's got like a core made of diamond or something like that? The thing is that sci-fi in particular, it does tend to predict a lot of shit that actually happens in real life.
This is true.
I saw a great thing online a while ago that basically pointed out lots of things from the original Star Trek series that have since come into being, like, you know, they
3D printers.
Yeah,
replicators.
they basically had, you know,
iPhones,
iPads
yep.
and, you know, tablets and just all sorts of stuff like that.
And we'll be able to mention to the next generation. When we were born, Pluto was still regarded as a planet in the solar system.
Poor Pluto. I feel so bad for Pluto. You're still a planet to me, Pluto. You know, a lot of people may have disregard you, but no, you'll always be a planet to me.
This is one of the things from that, which is weird. I had this explained to me by a friend who I was on my degree with, and he said when we discovered it, you know, our technology wasn't as good, and it was part of the solar system. But as time has gone on, they found loads of similar-ish objects at about the same-ish distance to Pluto. So they could do one of two things really. They could either declassify Pluto, or they'd have to bring all of these other objects into consideration as planets. And as weird as it may sound, there's still no cast iron principle for proclaiming a planet. There's plenty of crap knocking about up there these days. It's
yeah, a lot of the shit we've put up there actually is like not content with polluting our own planet to shit. We've now started dumping our crap in space.
This is true. Geosynchronous orbit. Like, you can put stuff up at any level. It's fine. If you want it to be going around the planet, like, you know, man-made satellite, the actual space up there for that is starting to get kind of pretty tense. You know, they're running out of space up there. And it's funny you mentioned dumping crap up there. They've now reckoned, because of the space shuttle missions and the release from their toilets, all of the satellites and stuff up there have now got a thin film of astronaut crap on them.
Nice. Brilliant. Just one of many reasons, and this is something we were talking about down the pub last night, that if there is intelligent life out there, and I for one fucking refuse to believe that this is the only planet where everything's aligned to create intelligent life.
There will be some life somewhere. Maybe it's single-cellular organism, who knows, but somewhere in the universe there's got it.
In the vastness of the universe, this can't be the only rock that's got life on it. But if there is intelligent life out there, they would not want to invade our planet.
No,
for a number of reasons.
We said this, like, if you flew past us, observed us for, I don't know, a month or something, took one good look at us, it's like, you know what, got nothing to offer us. But it would be akin to you going down one of the rivers in the Amazon or something like that, and coming in contact with one of the completely lost tribes of the Amazon that have no contact with any humans whatsoever. It's like, it would be great as a cultural thing, but what are you actually going to get from them? There's nothing you are going to learn that is going to, you know, make your society more advanced than it already is.
Well, sharing culture and opening channels of communication is all very well and good, but I don't think we're the species to do that with.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
if an alien came down and was like, hey guys, if he landed in, say, America, for instance, he gets shot instantly. Just like, yeah, we come to share, no, whatever, E.T., bang. It's just, you know, all those films like Independence Day and everything, it always ends up with us and the aliens fighting, and let's face it, it would happen like that, but chances are it would probably be us who made the first aggressive move.
I do kind of wonder as well, if we end up going to another, it probably wouldn't be so bad these days, but if we ended up going to another planet, finding sentient life or halfway sentient life, would we just end up being complete dicks and like start imperialism all over again?
It depends what resources they've got. Jesus, if there was, you know, petroleum and, you know, fossil fuels that we could use on Mars or, you know, whatever, we'd be up there mining if we had the technology right the fuck now. If ever an alien does come along, the first question we're going to ask is, what can you offer us? And then kill them and take it, because that is the way we do.
I get the impression that probably won't work too well for us. It's not going to be like Independence Day where Will Smith just comes along and saves us. I reckon, you know, if they can fly that well, they've probably got better armaments than us.
Yeah, but it depends, you know, as a species, are they as fucking bent on destruction as we are? We are the only species on this planet that has made items and tools specifically to kill other members of the species. I mean, from knives to something as ridiculously destructive as the atomic bomb. So, you know, maybe another planet would be more full of, I don't know, sheep. With the situation in the Ukraine, Russia and the US have sort of been at loggerheads, been a bit tense again. And I think the Russians were threatening to, like, ban the US from the International Space Station.
Yeah.
You keep fucking with us, you can't come to space.
Yeah, shit is getting bad, where it's just like we're locking you out of like the space station. I know there was something really odd, and I don't think it's quite done. Somebody decided, right, I'm going to start selling bits of real estate on the moon, and because nobody,
I saw that, yeah.
Nobody had claimed any of the land, so somebody just sort of like wrote, right, I'm claiming the land there because nobody else has done it. I'm doing it. And funny you mentioned about Russia. To mention the other day, if you look for this, you'll find it. I don't entirely know where the best place to start is, but some Ukrainian astro guys, obviously a bit pissed off with Putin at present, named like the newest comet or newest celestial body they found, whatever it was, be it a planet. They called it Putin's a dickhead or something like that. And now that is as it is. So this star or planet, whatever it was, will remain in the stars in Ukrainian, saying Putin's a dickhead until the end of time.
It's kind of the churlishness of human nature, isn't it? That you can go to WH Smith's and among the gift cards for cinema tickets and magazine subscriptions, like buy a star or buy a piece of moon rock. It's like, that's not a thing. No one's going to give a fuck that there's a star up there called the shining light of Cammy's head, because the only people who are going to know that are about 5 people at your birthday party. And let's face it, that is not important in the grand scheme of things.
It is illegal in America, I think, to have moon rock. They have them for scientific institutions and stuff, but if you go around nicking it or something like that, because it's a specially protected commodity, when it comes back, you're not allowed to have it. Average guy on the street can't have it. No, it's also really fucking dangerous to have stuff from the moon, because sand on a beach here, it will be ground down, tides, natural wear and tear and stuff. The dust on the moon is really, really sharp down to the atomic level, so if you breathe it in, it's the same as asbestos, which is one of the main dangers they have. When the guys were coming in from the capsule, they had to make sure when they were kicking their boots off and stuff, they weren't with that, because as soon as that gets up then in the cockpit, that will get in all of the instruments and biologically will tear you to shit.
So I bet that was a bitch for the first guy who was like, the moon's made of cheese, let's see if that's true.
Nope.
Well, we've been a couple of cunts in the countryside. If you enjoyed this video, like, favourite, share and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you didn't enjoy it, go snort moon dust. Feel free to suggest a topic for us to talk about in a future episode. We'll see you next time.
And remember, in space, no one can hear you scream. Well, apart from the Russians who locked you out of the space capsule.